Well, it's been a few weeks, but we're finally getting into the scenery right now on Reed's Train Stuff. Welcome to Reed's Train Stuff, model train and how-to videos. So if you're building a model railroad and want some tips and ideas, or you just like watching trains run around, hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you'll be notified of my upcoming videos. Alright, well, welcome back, or hello if it's your first time here. Right, today we're continuing on with my diorama build, number 7. Build part number 7 and getting into the scenery. And if you haven't caught up with the parts 1 to 6 yet, I'll put a link up here. So anyway, sorry it's taken me so long to get back. If you guys have been following this, I said the last few weeks I just haven't had any time to do anything. So anyway, we'll get into it. We're going to start the scenery. Today we're going to just start to do all the prep work before you get into the nitty gritty of it. Going to get the road set, going to show a basic way to weather some track, and show about putting some rock moulds on. So, well, let's get into it, eh? Alright, so the first thing we're going to have to do is, before we start doing the scenery, we'll sand down the road. I've just got this sanding block. Let's get out of the sun here. Now I made one mistake when I did this, where I should have actually got my scraper and scraped the plaster off the top of the cork. So all I have to do is get my electric sander out and I'll go over it with that. Alright, there it is, all nice and smooth. You see it's come down to the cork a bit, but that's quite alright. So there's a few around here, still a few little scrape marks and stuff, which I think that'll actually bring a bit of character to the road. And there, see all nice and smooth and ready for paint. So we'll let's get on to the next bit, eh? Alright, now I'm just going to show you an easy way just to weather your track. For this I'm using, if a little focus in, this is Tamiya Brown, the XF72. Just so, there's plenty of different ways you can weather your track, so this is just one. I'm just going to brush paint it. Usually I'd airbrush it, but for this I'm just going to hand brush it. So let's get on with it. Righto. I've got a fairly decent big brush here, get better coverage, so and just bring it over, making sure you get onto the rail. Just make sure it's all covered, cover the tyres. You don't really have to worry about getting right under it, because obviously the ballast will cover a lot of it. This brush is probably a bit big for this, but it's one I had on hand, so I don't know if you can actually see the difference there, but I think once it dries it comes up fairly well, so I'll continue doing that and we'll have a look at it after I'm done. Alright, so I've finished doing all the weathering onto the track. As you can see, it's got a nice coat over the rail, gives a nice brown colour. It takes away from that horrible silvery look. That. If I just something quicken. As you can see, when you have the non-weathered track right next to it, you can really notice the difference. So there we go. Another thing, I actually used a smaller brush just to run along the side of the rails and spots I missed. So, but yeah, I think that'll look really good once it's ballasted. So, well, let's continue on. Alright, so I said I want to put some rock moulds on here, so I'm going to quickly show you doing a rock mould. So what I've just got an old shoebox lid where I've put some sand in it just to give it a good steady platform. Keeps it fairly level. Like I said, you can just see I've got a little bit of timber here just to help it up. So good enough. This is just a Woodland Scenics one, so just got a bit of wet water. Just give it a decent spray in there. And I've mixed up some plaster, which is sort of, you can see, sort of like a bit of about that sort of consistency. So now we'll hopefully I've made enough and we'll cover it. I think I might have just got enough. I probably could do a little bit more, but that'll do it. Let's spread that out. Excuse me. And just give it a few taps. Help to move the air bubbles. Okay, and we'll let that dry and see what it comes out like. Alright, so let this dry for about a couple of hours, so hopefully it'll come out and look good. So, alright, and that's not a good sign. Okay, so it's got to sort of crack it. Open. And we've managed to break it. That's alright. Alright, well there's that part, yeah, definitely. As you can see, there's really no little air bubbles, a little spot there, nothing major. Yeah, that's come out pretty well, so we'll have to go and continue, and we'll get it on the diorama. Alright, so I've done the rock moulds. You saw on the last one the breakers I was taking out, which is quite alright, because I actually just get the rock moulds and just break them up into various sizes, fit different areas. There's a larger one for lots of little bits. So what I've done with these, I've actually test fitted them where I've sort of got these and they all just fit nicely to make a group where I'm going to stick them up onto the mountain. So let's get some plaster made up and we'll get them onto the mountain. Alright, so let's get these rock moulds put onto the mountain. As the first thing I've done is put some tape over the track, which you don't want to get plaster all over your nicely freshly weathered track. Obviously you could also weather your track after you've done all your plastering, which would probably be a small sensible idea. So anyway, first of all, just made up some plaster. You can see textures, yeah, I don't know, you'd probably call that very little like cream, a bit thicker than custard sort of thing. Alright, so first thing to do, some of the old wet water. Just dampen the area you're going to put it on. It'll help the adhesion of the plaster. It was also just do it on the back of the mould. So, right. So let's get some plaster. On the back of the mould. Get a good coverage. Right. We know that one's going to go right about there. I'll just put that one in like that. Now what I did to get these to fit a bit closer, I just got a pair of pliers. Just trim them up a bit so they all fit nicely. Use the arms. Get nicely in there. This is the one that goes, this fits in like so. Now there's obviously some gaps and everything. So all I've just got an old knife. You could obviously use a proper spatula or something. Just glass up. Try not to do that and get it all over the rock mould. Just fill in the gaps and blend it into your scenery. If you do get a bit on the rock mould, once it's dry you can actually just use a sharp knife and just blend it in a bit more. Alright, so that's the basic how to get it on. With these gats, you don't really have to worry about it. If you've ever seen like a proper rock wall, there's lots of grasses and little bushes, so you can cover that up. So we'll do that later on, but that's the basis of it. So I'll continue doing a few more and we'll have a look how it all looks at the end. Alright, so here's all the rock moulds in, blended in nicely. So just put a few down here near the riverbank. Got a little one just there. That one just there, got one there. Down near the river, and just one just up there as well. So let's let them dry and I'll be able to continue on. One quick thing I did do was where I had that shortage of plaster when I first did it, I just covered up that with what I had left over. So alright, so there it is, all ready to continue on. Alright, well there's the basics of just prepping up for scenery. As I said, just sanding down the road. For hindsight, I should have scraped more plaster off the road when it was wet. Would have made it a lot easier, but it's come up nice and smooth. I think it'll look good when we come to finish that part of it. Weathering the track, so that was just a nice, simple, basic way of weathering track. There are lots of ways out there you can really weather your track to make it look really, really good, but that is just a basic, simple way to take that black shininess off it, and it'll come up really well once it's ballasted. And with the rock moulds, which I'll be honest with you, that was the second time I've ever done rock moulds. I broke one and pulling it out of the mould. Also, you break all the rock moulds up to get them into different sizes. So just put the plaster around them, fill in the gaps. So hopefully they'll come out really good at the end result too. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, share it with anyone you think would enjoy it, and please leave a comment below. So anyway, that's the end of this one. So soon we'll be getting into part 8. We'll be actually getting down into putting down some scenery with some ground foam and other materials. So until next time, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later. Bye.